Authenticity is a bit of a buzzword in the industry right now. So to prepare for my topic, I thought I would start with the basics, the dictionary definition. So some of the more common words that were highlighting authenticity were genuine, bona fide, valid, real, original. And when I think of those words in context to tourism destinations, I think of authentic landscapes, mountains, lakes, and forests, and authentic cultures, languages, food, all of those kinds of things. Anything that's indigenous to a location and to its people. But even though I'm the tourism representative up here, I'm not going down that road. So I was looking at two words that were less common in the definition, and those were the words honest and true. And so for me, authenticity is not just about being original or certified or valid or legitimate. My premise here today is that it's about being honest and true. It's about acting with integrity, and it's about being transparent. Honest and true is about having conviction. It's about having the courage to see that conviction through. It's about having true grit and passion to create something that is genuine, meaningful, and real. It takes root naturally. It grows, it flourishes because it's accepted, or rather embraced, by its local environment. Why? Because it matters. I have a friend, Shelley Adams, who lives in Nelson, British Columbia, a little town in BC here. And years ago, she and her husband purchased Whitewater, a little ski area there. And Shelley, whose background is in catering in the movie industry, she opened the Fresh Tracks Cafe. And she made wholesome and delicious food there that local skiers loved. So a close friend of hers said, Shelley, you should really write a cookbook and you should share these amazing creations. And so she did. And she published the book. It was Whitewater Cooks, Real, Simple, and Pure Creations. And it was clearly meant for her local audience. The cookbook even referenced within it about some of the ingredients that you could get at Nelson's local co-op. So who then would have known that it would be a publishing sensation, that 3 more successful books would follow, and that the first 3 would sell more than 50,000 copies, and the 4th, which is out on the shelves today, would sell another 50,000 or more copies. Shelley was successful because she was the real thing. Her craft came from a love of food, from passion and creativity, from hard work and sweat equity, from sharing, and then ultimately from loyalty and now a cult following. That's honest and true. That's authenticity. And I truly believe that if you have a passion, the profits will follow. But if you start with the profits in mind, well, that's a hollow proposition. Customers and employees will see through that. Acting with integrity. Acting with integrity is about goodness and honor. It's about doing the right thing, even if it's not the easiest or the most lucrative route. Businesses who act with integrity, they share their honest-to-goodness goods for good value for money, while maintaining excellent relationships with both their customers and with their employees. And some businesses take it a step further, where they want to share their success and their profits with those in need. And all of us naturally want to be part of that. That sharing creates greater success because we all want to be part of a greater good or contribute to a higher cause. So why? Because it makes a difference. So take Tom's Shoes. It was a company that was created in 2006. And on a trip to Argentina, a fellow named Blake Mycoskie, he had discovered a natural, traditional canvas shoe made by the Argentinian people. And he loved it, and he wore them himself. But while in Argentina, he also witnessed incredible poverty and saw thousands of children with no shoes at all. And so what he did is he created the Shoes for Tomorrow project, which tomorrow became Tom's Shoes for short. And the concept that he created was a one-for-one concept in which he committed to every pair of shoes sold, he would donate a pair to a child in need in a developing country. The startup company began with 250 pairs of shoes. But the LA Times ended up publishing a story about Tom's and about the one-for-one concept. And within the first 6 months, they sold 10,000 pairs of shoes. And true to their word, they donated another 10,000 pairs of shoes to families in need. Today, more than 35 million pairs of shoes have been donated to children in need in developing countries around the world. No doubt about it, Blake Mycoskie was an astute businessman, but he was also a humanitarian, and he conducted his business in the same way that he lived his life, by the same values and principles. That's integrity. That's authenticity. Sorry. So, for authenticity to be complete, we need to have transparency. Transparency is about being open and candid, being modest and humble, and having the courage to stand up and be counted, to admit failure when necessary. I have another friend, Jim Hogan, who is he owns a very successful PR company in Vancouver, Hogan & Associates. He's also the chair of the David Suzuki Foundation, and he's the author of a number of books on communication and sustainability. Jim is acutely aware of the bad rap that PR firms receive, being seen as spin doctors and reframing a bad news story or covering up a crisis. But Jim's philosophy, his PR philosophy, long before it became popular in social media, was always about truth and transparency. In 2007, Jim received a standing ovation at the Canadian Public Relations Society's national conference, in which he gave a speech on sustainability and communications, but it was entitled, "You Can't Spin Mother Nature." Jim's philosophy within that, he had 3 critically important principles. And those principles were that he believed that PR firms needed to take a leadership role in ensuring that they represent the public interest, and that they need to guide and coach their clients with these 3 principles. And they were, number 1, first and foremost, do the right thing. Number 2, be seen to be doing the right thing. And number 3, don't get 1 and 2 mixed up. Why? Because responsible action must precede promotion. Because real content must precede rhetoric. And if they don't, we now know that social communities will weigh in. In fact, the sharing economy has, to a certain degree, become the antidote for corporate mistrust, where citizens are purchasing real goods and services from other citizens because there is no slick promotion. There is no hard sell. It's just goods and services for good value for money. So businesses who want to garner trust need remember that they have to tell their story with candid, honest insights and to ensure that they're showing genuine humanity. That's transparency. That's authenticity. I wanted to tell a little story. It's a personal story. Whoops. But it was kind of a life lesson for me, and I call it my soft underbelly story. Some of my folks at work have heard it 100 times. But when I used to be the vice president of marketing and sales, I oversaw a marketing committee, and it was made up of A personalities, senior executives from across the resort who all had, a vested interest, strong opinions, and tough critiques. And in anticipation of those meetings, I used to don my suit of armor, preparing for the onslaught. And the meetings went okay, but they were never great. There was no real sharing or mutual understanding that came out of them. And so one day at lunch, one of the committee members said to me, "Can I give you a piece of advice?" And I held my breath and I said, "Sure." And the advice was, "You do good work, but it gets lost in fending off all of those bullets. Have you ever considered just showing your soft underbelly?" And I thought, wow. I took that away and I thought about it. And I tried it at the next meeting. And I went in and I was delivering the results of our campaigns and both the strengths and the weaknesses. And I welcomed their critiques and their challenging feedback, and I made myself vulnerable. And interestingly, the tone of the meetings changed. Their critiques became far more balanced. Their praise became far more generous. My admission of strengths and weaknesses had them be far less hostile, far more supportive, far more trusting. And so they were looking for honesty and transparency. They were looking for real engagement, and they were looking for the authentic me. So, in closing, just want to make sure that's where we are. I would just like to say that destinations, businesses, and individuals who are truly interested in providing a genuine, authentic experience need to remember, it's not about what we sell, it's not about what we say, but it's about what we stand for. It's our spirit, our values, our energy, our essence. Have a dream, have a vision, and stay true to it. Always love what you do and deliver it with passion and sincerity. Do the right thing, even when it's tough. Be transparent in good times and in bad. Act with integrity, always, and your authentic self will shine through. And loyal fans will follow. Thank you very much.